The signal. Well, good afternoon, good evening, bienvenidos, one and all, on this third Sunday of the month of January. You're here for Cultivating Voices live poetry, and today it is our wild card open mic, our first wild card of the new year. Well, before I get started and invite our first readers for today, I want to give a shout out to our spectacular quartet from last week, our first new book showcase of the new year with Anton Floyd, Catherine Ronan. I know, it was really amazing. Matthew Gaden and Francesca Bell. And if you were not able to join us live and have not had an opportunity yet to watch the recording, I highly, highly recommend it. I mean, of course, I recommend all the programs, but oh my gosh, it was just a stunning reading. Very prismatic. Each poet had a very unique perspective of how they presented their poetry, and the alchemy was incredible. So I want to invite you and remind you that you can always go back if you're not able to join us live here in Zoom or watching us live on Facebook. You can always go back to the recordings and, of course, see that through Facebook or through our YouTube channel. And again, deep appreciation to Don Krieger, who makes that possible every single week that we are with you all for poetry. Well, again, today it's our Cultivating Voices live poetry wild open mic, and we've been with you since March of 2020. Bringing you poetry from all around the world, voices from all around the world. And in our wild card open mic, we will feature the 12 readers who will be reading for up to 5 minutes and get to as many of our poets on our waiting list as possible in the 90 minutes that we have today. I want to remind you also to please feel free to use the chat to show your appreciation for the poets who are reading today. Of course, respectful and enthusiastic comments, please. And a reminder that because I will not be doing bios or anything like that for today's reading, feel free to put in the announcements, any upcoming readings that you have, whether you're the host of a reading series and you've got an upcoming program, or you're going to be reading at an upcoming event somewhere, or if you've got, other news about poetry that you'd like to share with us, please feel free to use the chat for that purpose. Oh, well, again, I'm very much looking forward to hearing from today's poets. And again, another quick reminder that if you feel that your poetry today would benefit from a content notice to support people and maybe muting if there's something that might be upsetting to them, and to give them a little bit of notice, we encourage you to make those announcements. Of course, it's up to your discretion always. And let's get started, shall we? Our first poet. Oh, we've missed seeing you, and I'm so glad here you are in January with us to start off the new year. It's Alexandra Psaropoulou. Wonderful to see you. And Alexandra will be followed by Mona Zamfirescu.
I just want to make sure that the graphics are going by.
Yep, I'm seeing them.
That
Yeah,
the pages are going by, right? It's not
they are
stopping.
going. They are moving. Yes, they are. Beautiful.
So flying 18. I don't want an indiscernible pathway. I want a trailblazing pathway. Traversing margaritic satellites, Hyperion heliospheres, phosphorescent vortexes, multidimensional multiverses. How will I summon all this eusychia? Retrogressing in the tempest of constellations and Erebus chasms of earthly martyrdom. Heroically venturing up the highest battlements in the adamantine battle of our weak intellect. Sensing the wafts of mysterious entities like fervent prophets in the solitary wild, grabbing onto the roots of our polygenistic, syncretic advance into unexplored firmaments. With only our muse arousal, our humble inspiritment towards this spiraling, fire-bearing torch relay, this psyche momentum upwards. Extending the borderlines, spreading our alchemist idealism, our vitalized thought forms onto boundless beaches and breezes, where monism synchronically diffuses, where dualism conjointly interfuses. Lunar bodies singing a paean to our initiations, leading into hegemonic clarity, moon echo after moon echo. I don't want fallacious ontologies, I want forthright ontologies. Extending across entropic abysses, fanatical proselytisms, compatibilist free will, morphic fields. How will I catalyze all this noesis? Roaming in the unpurged lands of mass dogmatic crises, totalitarian fossilized idolization of spiritual plunder, replaced by collective transfiguration of the new race. Conflicting forces of complex personalities, overlapping with developing perceptions from infancy to liberation. Psychic hearts budding in akashic fields, fusing phenomenon with noumenon. Neophyte eaglets zealously ascending with dithyrambic cries through sensory and extrasensory soaring, conquering the peaks of both limited logical and unlimited illogical, refusing to be enslaved by the temporary and tragic tensity between somatus and asomatus. Heliacal bodies catheterizing the union of embodiment and emanation, uplifting our lament from the brink of ataxia, sun cascade after sun cascade. I don't want obscure awakenings, I want compelling awakenings. Charioteering intuitional journeys, eulogized prophecies, teleological ethics, perfected laws. How will I receive all this anthroposophy? Swirling in the time cyclones of involutionary and evolutionary forces, dismissing the noise of our tumultuous passions, our coarse footsteps, our swamped senses, ascetically regulating instincts and insights, disorientations and reorientations, grand rhythms of change, spurting flames of freedom within imprisoned dense false self, spreading vaporous sparkles within dynamic purposeful true self, aligning the head and basic centers to subtler bodies, evading the snare of materialism and unslaked selfishness for mystic kindled values. Primordial karma of imperfect duplexity, developing metamorphic urge of sublime synergism, the gifts of well-balanced pneuma and form. Auric bodies leading us along the noble middle way, opening the gates to privileged domains, gold torrent after gold torrent. I don't want shadowy flights, I want hierophanic flights, forerunning rare hylomorphisms, demiurgical cosmocratorus, seventh ray manifestations, tetractys harmonies. How will I actualize all this in teleky? Colliding in hazy equivocations, in dilemmas and phantasms, in damned, unprovable realizations. Marching through the remnants of civilizations, the vestiges of philanthropy, the ignorance of metaphysics. Disheartened beings causing friction and disease, seeking full expression in deific eupnia. Surmounting the deluding maelstrom of overwhelming astral uncertainty, sowing and sharing hylo-energies of immaculate conception. Deontically and ritualistically giving exoteric schema to esoteric hypostasis, power visioning the magnanimous purpose of our existence, of our frenetic anabasis towards the unfading flare, in hope and desperation, until our fated transitions, holding our trophy of treasured epimethium. Lucent bodies radiating through the unaltered monad, through the human primal whisper of all, light apex after light apex. We don't want a refracted hyperessence, we want an authentic hyperessence. Spinning sibylline voices, Lojoic plans, luminous consciousnesses, new age apocalypses. How will we ever enter all this hyperuranium? Thank you.
That is Alexandra Psaropoulou, and I feel we are so fortunate that you join us, that we are one of the reading series that get to benefit from this amazing visual soundscape that you create with your poetry. It's unlike anything I ever experienced. Folks, they take many months to create each one of these in the Flying series. And today we have the debut of Flying 18. That's Alexandra Psaropoulou. Thank you so much. Thank you. Well, next, really one of my favorite poets that joined us in 2023 began coming to Cultivating Voices. I'm just so thrilled. I'm so thrilled for all the members, but you were one of these highlights for me in 2023, us getting to know your work. Mona Zamfirescu, beautiful to have you with us today.
Thank you so much, Handy, for welcoming me. I feel so welcome. Thank you. Always appreciate your kind words. I apologize for staying off camera. I'm still recovering from COVID, and yeah. I wasn't sure that my voice was gonna carry me through, so I prepared a different kind of presentation for today. I've made a video out of my latest graphic work, but when the video was done, I thought that was a perfect opportunity for an ekphrastic sort of exploration, and I've asked my good friend Neil Daswani, who's specializes in ekphrastic poetry, to see if he's interested in a call and response poem to go with the videos. So this is what I want to share with you today, our collaboration, a poem based on the video that I will just share right now. Please let me know if the sound doesn't make doesn't come through. All right.
Green to blue. The azure of space has no start nor finish, no ultramarine or teal. In the blue of space, sea meets sky. Blue be the color that is home.
You who knows the words of time and space, the hollows of my heart, I listen for you.
I keep the square of my distance. I am but a hum upon the solar wind, morphing into cloud cold, shape-shifting origami you cannot fathom.
Green across galaxies in this interstellar journey of eclipses and twists of fate, the light bends.
The arc of the horizon bent to its bow, shooting stars scour the heavens. Misty mountains and horizon yonder, whale sound, light blue of flute, dark of cello.
I reach the depths of sound returning to me from where you are blue and beyond.
Elusive as you approach. Blue slips through your fingers.
Endless light years span the dark dream space. Here we meet in each other, or we don't really meet at all.
Beautiful.
Everyone.
Wow. Thank you so much. Today, folks, it's our wild card open mic, and I love the synchronicity that you follow, that your soundscape followed Alexandra's soundscape. How fitting to both have these visual, as the line was in the poem, shape-shifting origamis be next to each other. Oh, stunning. Thank you. That's Mona Zamfirescu with your fabulous call and response poet partner,
Thank you. Neil Daswani.
Neil Daswani. That's right. There, I was writing all the names down. Thank you.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Well, again, I love when the wild card provides the opportunity for experimentation, right? Here's a beautiful example of that, and I expect we'll continue to see more of this throughout the year. Well, our next poet is Harvey Soss, and Harvey will be followed by David Brydges. And before Harvey gets started, I just want to give just a brief heads up to everybody. There was a little glitch, and everybody, you probably noticed that you had to register today to come into the room. Every single one of us had to do that, including yours truly. So sorry for any delays that caused. We're very, very glad to have everyone with us today. And now let's turn to Harvey Soss. Hello, Artful Dodger.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you
Oh,
perfectly.
okay, fine, because my screen is frozen. I couldn't, I wasn't sure I could unmute. Let me see if I can bring up, if I can even reach. Okay. I have two war-themed poems. The second is very short, if I can get to it. The first is called, I don't know if I've ever read this here, Letter from Carthage, Love and War. He wrote of subjects he wouldn't talk to us about, of bodies piling up like peanut shells on a barroom floor. So many, so raw, crushed underfoot by advancing armor, assuring our mother before she was our mother that his sifting of desert war sand had revealed no Keatsian worlds to speak of more peaceful than our own, scribing his monogrammed leather journal in a hand, inspirited by the nearness of Carthage. Entries designed to lure her thoughts away from present danger, the Second Battle of El Alamein, towards the Second Punic War, when the Carthaginians lost everything except our interest. Hannibal and his elephants in their alpine trippiness appearing larger and more triumphant, even in defeat, than those wolf pups of Scipio Africanus. As if to say, yo, Scipio, dude, let Rome bay while Carthage, accounted a loser, endures. Its sell-by date 146 BCE, when the city would fall into the lap of legend. Preeminent in the hearts and minds of not so Rome-centric historians and romantics among us, poets of a certain bent, in theses of Punic War specialists, like that hapless football team you wouldn't bet on, but just can't help rooting for. That my old man was almost as much a fanboy of Carthage as he was of his Esther, my mother-to-be, dug a foxhole we shared and still share our deep love of family and history. A pharmacist in peacetime, in letters unseen and unsent, he served up fresh prescriptions for adoration, telling of his absence without leave from the Army's Medical Corps, if only for a few hours, risking brig or firing squad if charged with desertion, for history, for her, before he had earned his Bronze Star, making his journal, discovered by us after her death, so much more than a summer read. Day tripping, the carillons of war theatrically hushed for a time, as were the walkies of general staffers scouting desert terrain, careful not to tip off their next moves, the chess championship of the dunes having come down as expected to these two, Rommel and Montgomery, a pair of greats searching for any signs of weakness in their rival's game. My father saw his chance and took it, going AWOL to survey the ruins. One man squatting on a bit of wall, his cursive retelling of city-states facing off across the Mediterranean, interrupted by a call to arms, not to his essays, to the armies. Around the hip curve of North Africa, men battle-weary fought and fought again. As in the Punic Wars, the Axis's hope for world dominion, Deutschland über alles, foundering on Maghreb's shores. In that brief interlude when the guns fell silent, conducive to writing letters home, Triceratopsian armor stopping for a deep breath, arms and legs having flown off more often than Allied sorties, my father described taste testing a pinch of sand for some hint of its signature saltiness. The rot beneath the skin of bodies left too long in the sun, this spot he was in, having seen too much death. And the second one is about 30 seconds. It's called Hero. The spirit hovers over PFC Mason, zippered into a body bag to be helicoptered out of Saigon. Having thrown himself onto a grenade during the Tet Offensive, saving the lives of 6 comrades, several of whom will describe this private first class to their therapists as the wellspring of their survivor's guilt. At least 2 known to have named their sons after him. And when those boys quiz their fathers on the source of their given names, whether derived from a many times great-grandfather shrouded in post-diluvian mists or a much-admired philanthropist, they will be both stunned and embarrassed to see their fathers cry. Inductees choking on the jeers that treated them upon their return, the ho, ho, ho Chi Minhs, a lump in their throats the size of a grenade, saying only, your namesake was a hero, son, leaving out that part not fit for their ears about his having been blown to bits. Thank you.
It's Harvey Soss, everyone. Powerful work today, my friends. Powerful work all around so far. Thank you to our first 3 poets. And now we go to David Brydges, and David will be followed by Michael Macklin O'Mara. Thank you. David, great to have you with us today.
Thank you, Sandy. I think there's a psychic at large this afternoon because my poem segs quite into Harvey's, and the last 2 poems segged into themselves. So I don't know. I hope this continues, actually. Harvey, thank you for sharing that story of another soldier's death, but also another battle for supremacy. Another Ukrainian poet died recently, and I'm going to dedicate this poem to him. And his cat was with him too. But I also received some news from a poet lawyer friend, Slava, in Kiev. He had a medical exemption, but he emailed me, and he's been called up to be mobilized for March. There's a big mobilization going on in Ukraine, and unfortunately, those who weren't fighting before and had some kind of exemption have to go. This poet published their first book last year, and Pen Ukraine said it was one of the best books of the year because it was raw truths from the front line. Winter news from the battleground. I checked the Euromaidan Press daily email. NATO pledges billions in arms for Ukraine in 2024. All military news from this senseless war until I see acclaimed poet killed defending Ukraine. My heart pains when I read of this patriotic soldier's death at 33, a junior sergeant of the armed forces of Ukraine. I knew this news would come someday, but I try to prepare breakfast, but I'm a fugitive. Disturbed, I go to the kitchen window. I see the faded white lightning bolt on the shed wall. And oddly, I wonder why this old image transfixes me. Then I remember a photo of Maxime in a khaki uniform holding his book, Poems from the Loophole. And I'm struck by lightning. Eyes full of intensity, engagement, and solidarity. Zeus smiles. His spirit is alive in the heart of this warrior poet. My dearest son will sprout violets, his mother says. His faithful heart is ever flowering, ever hopeful. All Ukrainians finally see violets blossom in springtime, while white doves overhead.
That is David Brydges. Thank you so much, David. And yeah, the synergy already in the program is very palpable, very powerful. And I really continue to mourn all that we continue to lose around the world. All the voices that we are continuing to lose, those we know and those we don't. That is often the work of us poets, is to amplify and bring those forward. I thank you for doing exactly that. That's David Brydges, everyone. See you next time. Well, our next poet is Michael Macklin O'Mara, and Michael will be followed by Ann Tweedy. Very nice to have you with us today.
Thank you, Sandy. It's good to be here. I have one poem. It's titled At the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Park. To the east, the Meisner Mansions. To the west, the new uptown. The streets are empty, something we say when streets are lightly traveled instead of stock car starting line full. It's a holiday, and everyone, something else we say, is gathered around family tables, heaped with bowls and platters of holiday eats. Except this threadbare, bundled lady who stoops after asking my permission and pets my dogs. What are their names, she asks for the third time. A woman on a bench a few feet away. Do they like cats? Beside her, an upright case the size of a kid's shoebox, like a somber Punch and Judy puppet stage. In its tiny window, something dark and still as a mummy becomes a wee coin-op gypsy, a mini maiden in a box, a waif soon to be cut in two or run through with a dozen swords. This is lucky, she says. She's 3. She motions toward her motionless pet. I lean in. In the box now, a statuette of Bastet, daughter of Ra, head of a cat, body of a woman. The statue slowly, very slowly, opens her eyes. Black Marquise cut tourmaline set in emerald and gold. A pickup truck pulls up. My foreboding evaporates as a young woman towering in the truck bed raises in both hands bags that are clearly full of clamshell takeout boxes. Slowly, beneath the gaze of Dr. King, those gathered, black, brown, white, leave their pup tents, their bedrolls, their thrift store quilts, and make their way to the outstretched food. Any left? The slowest asks. The young woman smiles. You know there is. Had I been in writer mode, I might have emptied my wallet into that young woman's hands. Wouldn't that have helped her good works and made a good story as well? But I was in dumbfounded mode at having stumbled into a homeless camp, gathered in plein air at a picturesque breakwater. To the east, Meisner Mansions. To the west, the new uptown. Bless you, I repeat to the pickup truck angel. I'll never have done enough.
That is beautiful. Oh, the solemnity of that poem. That is Michael Macklin O'Mara. Thank you so much. We were on Monday here in the States was the commemoration for Dr. Martin Luther King. I'm glad to have your poem resonate and echo through the rest of the week with us and bring us back this week to Dr. King and really to all the legacies that his teachings encourage and still encourage for all of us to try to emulate. Oh, what a beautiful poem. I thank you so much for being with us. I look forward to the next time. Well, now it's really funny. We get to hear from Ann Tweedy, and a little later we get to hear from her neighbor. They're actually neighbors. I love this. I love that I know this. And I love that I've actually been in the neighborhood. So it's great to see you, Ann. And Ann will be followed by Stephen Riel.
Thank you. Great to see you and everyone too. This first one is, I have two. The first one's called Ode to the Stone Who May Have Imprisoned the Aurora Borealis. And this one's a little longer, and then the next one is pretty short. Gray stone refracting blue and green as if from inner fire, a species of feldspar, molten, homogeneous, but cooling differentiates ingredients into sheets that cohere as a complex edifice. I first saw you at a bead show I went to with two friends, one a beater, the other two of us tagged along. At a booth carved into faceted coins, a half-inch across, I thought too expensive, but couldn't get you out of my mind. The beading friend R said, if they're what you want, you might not find others that are as jewel-like. Before we left, I went back and bought you. Later, other beads seemed unworthy to be near you. I settled on adventurine and blue lace agate alternating in between chalcedony for a pendant. I still wear you 20 years later, along with 4 rings and another necklace I made out of rough cylinders of you, mixed with moonstone, goldstone, and jasper. If I am in love with stones, it started with you and continues with you, though there are others. There are always others, boulder opal, for instance, and some days amethyst. Robert Frost imagined sorrow clothed in simple worsted gray, and David St. John wrote about a lover who, out of sadness, dressed in shades of ash. But you are luminescent, foil, medium of contrast, prism to beguile us, while insinuating it might be possible to pass. Websites insist the Inuit where you were first, quote unquote, discovered on Paul Island believe the northern lights had been trapped inside you. Moravian missionaries are said to have been the first to mine and ship you off. Now, worldwide, you clear the fog from our third eyes and align our crown chakras so we can communicate with other realms. The Northern Light story might be bunk, how to separate truth from fantasy unless the Inuit decide to share their beliefs. And the Moravians trying to convince the Inuits to give up their nomadism would have recoiled at the thought of clearing chakras. They struggled to keep their Labrador missions afloat, but probably had as many qualms as ever. In 2005, the Nunatsiavut in Labrador established the first Inuit self-government since colonization, tiled their igloo-shaped assembly building in Hopedale and Labradorite. The Moravians are gone, and the Nunatsiavut now manage the mines for economic development, sending the bulk of stones to Italy for fireplaces and floor coverings. I myself have always purchased you at bead show shops or on websites, yet I cringe to think of you as an article of commerce. I don't want to, but I like the Aurora Borealis story. Is it because I'm poor in stories of my own that I want it to be true? If I go to Hopedale, I hope you will understand if I visit the Nunatsieva Assembly Building and walk on you. If only I could walk barefoot and feel the cold fire of you from the floor beneath the soles of my feet to the air above my head. One energy body. And then thank you. And this next one is, I'm torn between two titles. One is Interloping and one is Sarcodes Sanguinea. So if you have any thoughts, please let me know in the chat. Derivative of a derivative, the snow plant, its Latin name, bloody flesh-like thing, steals life from fungi who are in a symbiotic relationship with conifers. No chlorophyll, just a red stocky stalk of meaty flowers. It eats the photosynthate that conifers gift fungi in exchange for transmittal of water and minerals to conifer roots, opportunistic like a tax or a ransom note. Soft and cool to the touch, it looks like an antique pineapple fence finial or a mass of red ribbon, half knotted, half carefully curled with scissors, a child's art project, a gaudy centerpiece. It feels out of order in the forest, a disruptor, looking around at pine needles, fluorescent green lichen, moss-lined tree bark, small purple and pink flowers protruding from thin green stalks. Outlaw, you almost want to say. Can't you see you don't belong? You are so unlike anything around, not to mention that you steal the work of others to survive. But these things must not be said to the snow plant. It is thick and strong and innovative, somehow having made a life out of meager tools. A formidable oddity where there might have been nothing. The biggest bright thing on the forest floor. It's a wonder and a beacon. Thank you.
That's Ann Tweedy, everyone. Wow. You all are bringing the poems today. That's all I have to say. Wow. Oh my gosh. That break in December provided some opportunity. The energy of the new year poems are in abundant and astounding. Thank you. Thank you. So good to see you. Well, next we hear from Stephen Riel, and Stephen will be followed by Thomas A. Thomas. Welcome, Stephen. So glad to get to hear your voice today.
Thank you, and thank you for creating this space. My poem is called Crayola Cruella. I came of age during one of those crafty 7-year pauses Disney places between releases, but didn't need the movie to sweep me away, or even its trailer to tease me. All it took was a cheap coloring book, typical spin-off Hollywood cranks out to puff profits, displayed to catch the doe eye of a soft-spoken boy who'd wend down dime store aisles. Once I had my prize safely home, its newsprint pages lying soft beneath my palm, I grasped the reason for that white crayon in every pack as I waxed in her opposing hair slash, highlighted its shock of black. Instead of a broom, Cruella had glamour, the nasty kind. The base of her phone cradled its handset with flaws. Pink cigarettes spat smoke at the tip of her swank holder. Her jade alligator lighter blazed red eyes each time it was stoked. And she had a checkbook. And she had Hell Hall. And she had thieves at her beck and call. So I silvered slit eyes of her purring panther coop, blackened in points of ermine tails, darkened peach within concave curves of her skeletal cheekbones, and shins. My boy eyes in a town too tiny for a drive-in. Mind's eye open, a ready pond, reflecting livid lightning bolts or a coloring book surging sketches. Imbeciles, get to the crossroads, head off those puppies, I'd shriek, unleashing the cackle within. Thank you.
That's Stephen Riel, everyone. You know, anybody that comes on and is going to talk about Crayola, I'm all for it all the time. And here's Goofy Grape for you. Thank you. Thank you so much. What a great reading. Oh my gosh. That's Stephen Riel, everyone. Beautiful. Well, now we get to go to Olympia, I believe, to hear from my good friend Thomas A. Thomas. And Thomas will be followed by Martina McGowan. Oh my gosh. What a great, great reading today.
Thank you. Thank you, Sandy. Glad to be here. I think I'm going to do 3 poems, all short, a war image, and then a rest, and then a personal experience. The war poem is originally written for Ukraine, but unfortunately it works anywhere that explosives and people meet. Erasure. 4 people, winter hats, gloves, man in street, woman on sidewalk with child and smaller child, winter coats, boots, backpacks containing everything left to them, walking quickly away from shaking earth, bombs, artillery, shells, not running, not slipping or tripping or knowing how many miles they must hurry, and whomp, a nanosecond, light, smoke, dust, 3 bodies on the sidewalk, the man just erased, all gone, silent, aerosols of blood and bone. And then a Sunday morning on Case Inlet. The sun jewels the bay to my east, and the breeze ripples the surface in places, leaving glassy dark patches here and there among dazzles. A line of waves moves toward this shore, diamonds and glass crossing slowly out from a ship somewhere south, the invisible and unheard maker of this wake from however far away it passed, however long ago. And it is September, after Labor Day, after school has called the children back from Summer's Island. And I am another autumn older, and none the wiser, still pausing to bathe in moments such as this, when there is much to be done and so little time for either stopping or going. One more then. Some blessings of dementia. I am told that the house of your mind has been swept clean. The walls are washed white and the rooms emptied of furniture, nor are there paintings anywhere or plants on the stone floor or in the open courtyard at your center. If your soul still attends to the words of my poems, or the bells I ring to the four directions for you, or if it shines that bright light through the window frames, there is no positive sign. Meanwhile, outside the world of your bed, life and death continue. It seems to me a blessing that you have not suffered the suicide of your brother Jimmy, whom you tried so many years to protect from those who prey upon such as him. Another blessing that your mind emptied before the blood was drained from your son. Still another blessing to have never known the grandchildren lost in the 3 shipwrecks of your son's fatal descent, and the 4th, your daughter's loss of the father of her sons to similar demons. I speak these stories to the light I imagine remains beyond the shell of you here on earth. I ask your body to release your spirit because the years of dying have been so many now, and the years of my watch, and oh, how I hope there is love on the other side of death, and the others who called you beloved on earth wait there. Thank you.
That's a sublime set, for sure. That's a sublime set. That's Thomas A. Thomas, everyone. Thank you for the gift of your voice and your humanity today. Another poet that I'm grateful to know, just like Thomas, Martina McGowan. Wow. Oh boy, today we are very fortunate from all the voices we're getting to hear today. Wow. Thank you, Martina, for being with us.
Thank you, Sandy. I'm not sure if this is complete or a work in progress. It has no title other than a lamentation. Seasoned with the salt of evil, peppered with brutality, leavened by submission, decisions and revisions of history have left behind this Mobius strip called life, entering as self-contained, proscribed incubators of rebellion, taught to weave something out of nothing, learning to cling to the miracle of brief equilibriums, too often torn apart by severities, so like a pendulum swinging our lives, molding us into conscientious objectors of our own realities, to live and die in Babylon where clarity comes by chance, curating a community of people who could have been something else, reduced to traumatized statistics, tumbled through life like sea glass. The silent fury behind the rictus smile works to ensure better futures by cobbling together past and present. A lasting streak of madness compels us to act as cartographers, mapping our own tenuous destinies, living through the strange magic of discovering our own mortality early, continuing to write about what should never be forgotten, wondering things nobody cares about, things that break our hearts, thoughts almost too bitter with irony to dwell upon, painted in a patina of time and poverty. Behind this veil of tears, the history of our joys and sorrows teach us what it means to be human, lifting voices heavenward, seeking for our place among the infinities, hoping to drink from the other side of destiny's river. Everything at its own pace, everything in its own place, as my brother always taught me, to find where we fit into rhythm's life. The world within this skin is tired, Yet my unmourned and uneulogized inner self still reaches out to touch life's everyday spirituality. But grief remains the only gift to leave behind, wandering through the air like shifting sands, writing out the patterns of our lives, hearts and lungs serving as grief's metronomes, survive and thrive and stay alive, even as we approach the gates of the abyss. Thank you.
Oh my gosh. I have been left speechless today. By most of you. Martina McGowan, what a poem. My mom says it's perfect. My mom says it's perfect.
No revisions.
No revisions. Oh, wow.
Thank you, Mom.
Thank you, Mom. Lamentations, you know, I don't know. I don't know if it's the way here in the States, January, the way the light is, that's been very cold. I think there's a part of the month when you get into deep into January, it just calls for deep introspection. It just feels like it. There it was, right there in that poem. Lamentations, yeah. Thank you very much for that offering, the Mobius strip called Life. So many lines in that poem. Well, we turn now to Glenda Cimino. Great to have you with us. And after Glenda, we will hear from Phynne-Belle. We are very blessed today with so many of our members that we don't, so folks we see frequently and some folks that we haven't seen for a while. It's a joy to have you all with us.
Great to be here. Will I begin? Okay. The first poem is an unrequited love poem to poetry, and it's very unlike what I usually write. So a different direction. The title is called You Make It Hard to Love You. Can everyone hear me? Oh, poetry, you make it hard to love you. No bard can take such a rake, please such a tease. You dazzle me, flash away before I touch you. Whisper rich secrets, the world's hopes and regrets in my ear when I'm falling asleep at night. But morning finds me awake, you in flight, without warning. Sometimes at dawn I hear you go, lilting past my window in another's song. When I most long to possess you, I cannot find you at all. When I endeavor to forget you, forever you call. If I find you in the words of another, I am a jealous lover, though I must admire those who capture you for a moment or an hour. I've found you've quite a reputation around this town. I've heard your history from pubs, from bores who drool over how you seduced some poor fool or other who thought he had you on a string, but couldn't keep you. What a shame, all the aesthetic crimes committed in your name. Many claim that they have loved you. Most at least boast that they've made your acquaintance, but few of these even know you by sight. What a delight it would be to spurn you in turn, not yield. But my fate is sealed. I will listen for your occasional knocks, and no locks will bar my portals. Though poetry, I know you'll never stay with any of us mortals. Okay. Have I time for another? Okay, this is one I wrote long ago that was published in a booklet, a multicultural booklet recently, actually. It's called To a Bicultural Friend. It's about relating with people from different cultures because we're all one humanity. Your world envelops me without accepting me, classifies me without knowing me, finds my name strange, laughs at my mistakes, expects me to know what it has always known, sees in me not what is like, but what is different. The words which whirl into my mind are not words to you, and your words stumble awkward on my tongue. But you have been in my world as I am now in yours. You accept me without enveloping me, know me without classifying me, You practice my name until you say it well. You explain to me my mistakes. You know I will not always know what you have always known. You see in me not what is foreign, but what is human. And as my culture blends with yours, the strange becomes familiar, the familiar strange, until we know that what we've always known is not the truth, that our separate words are not the real names, that the things that make us different are not the things that make us right. I will not try to make you what I am, and you will not try to make me what you are, but we will know each other, and thus we both will become different. That's probably my quota, isn't it? My time quota. Thank you. Thanks.
That's Glenda Cimino. Thank you so much. You know, I love that prompt of a love poem to poetry. I love the idea of it. And I'm so struck today by the ebb and flow of the reading, and kind of a perfect place in the set today to have that love poem to poetry. So I want to just give a shout out. We're getting ready to come into the month of February, I know it's all commercial, that month of love, whatever. Write the love poems to poetry. What a great idea. What a great idea. Thank you so much. Great to have you.
Great to be here.
Well, we are getting close to wrapping up our featured poets for today. We'll be heading over to the waiting list very shortly, getting as many voices as we can. And next, we're very fortunate. We're going to get to hear from Phynne-Belle. Beautiful to have you with us today. And Phynne will be followed by Marcella Remund.
Thank you so much. It's good to be here this afternoon. Just have my camera off. Apologies, trying to maintain my bandwidth. So this first poem is titled Diyosa ng Kasaganaan, which is in Tagalog, the goddess of abundance. This is from my mama, who died in 2020 from complications of dementia. My mama, Lubi, laughed the rising sun, full belly rich, into the still dark nestle of the pigeon coop, startling its carousel navy and morning residents. My mama relieved the swaying bamboo rack of its gleaming stiff whites, arranged them, gap-toothed even, upon the clothesline, shifted their curtain of starchy cloth, shifted clouds from brewing their storm above head. My mama, siren calling, teeming sea of cats in her wake, waves of hunger rising with response in husky feral voices. Feed us, mermaid queen, they rejoin in asynchronous chorus, tempo lulls, tempo feverish. My mama, Pied Piper ballerina, choreography of fingers swirl in yesterday's toasted rice rind, in abundance of bronze scale snowfall, in transparent curved comb of naked fishbone. Rejoice, their murmur swells and washes over their numbers. Today, we are such well-fed gents. My mama, Diwata, summons the rainfall now at will. Libra balance of silver moon, palangana gracing her left hip, wooden ladle, divining stick aloft in her right palm. The thirsty soil prayed through the night to be quenched. Aniton tabo, moody fickle goddess, their fervent whisper ripples to the ground. Will you be the face of kindness on this day? And then one more poem. Hopefully it's within the time limit. Apologies, I have to shift here. I'm sorry. Oh, my laptop's stuck.
Yeah, you're good. You're fine.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much. This is called Origin and Demise. Origin or demise, what is in a name? Yes, scattered brethren, I brought the rain along to quarrel among the umbrella canopy of your newborn and withered leaves. Do you hear the thunderclap music ring louder in your ears between their pregnant paws? Does it make so much more of the fervor of their argument? The winding in the path ends here, Revelation meeting Genesis at the crossroads. The devil himself finds ushering souls along a soothing motion in repetition. Ascendant glory, plummeting sands benediction, part the seas of the damned wandering down the middle aisle. He is careful to follow instructions to the letter and number, to follow in famous St. Peter's dangling ankle footsteps, weed a soul for a soul, a weight for a balance, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, maintaining the celestial equation. For all the babble about a good and an evil, are there enough souls in collateral to pay for all the famine of our compassion, to the plague of our incessant wanting, our unrequited lust for warring, our ticking, impending, impatient, inevitable demise? I saw this as premonition, succession of our wretched reincarnation in a long, unending line. Pride lays claim that we arrived first, but we will not depart in our final earthly forms. The staggering enormity of our evolutionary surplus sacrificed for a more grander than grand design. Are we not the chosen? We are both the blessed and the cursed. Do you hear this? Witness struck blind to the miracle fire of our birth, the ember of our erasure. This is how we become saved, awash in forgetting ourselves. I saw this as an oracle vision, a strange peril taking place. Here we all fall weary, succumb to our sleep and burrow familiar crevices of where we are existing and nebulous glimpses of where we once had been. Clarity stings. In an instance of precognition, before she doubts sight, accuses her imagination run rampant, accomplice, unreliable scribe. A saint amid throes of ecstatic contemplation can awaken. I say now before it too vacillates one truth into a circle dozen supper of incoherent ramblings. If you listen and still this body, this life to which you lay claim, you will value here the supplication, the screams caught and frozen in your throat, imploring this deity, and then that one, and then the next. The world is now frightening, overwhelming to comprehend. We are the beings made in their image, comforted by gods of our own creation. How else to ease our conscience of guilt? How else to excuse, to explain our missteps and to reassure us that we are miraculous, that we too can become billions of instances to worship phenomena in our own microcosms.
That is Phynne-Belle with a transcendent set for today. Thank you camera or no camera. That's some poetry. That's some poetry. Thank you very much. And blessings to your mama. We now go to our final feature for today, Marcella Remund. Looking forward to hearing what you have to contribute to this very prismatic reading today.
Hi, Sandy, and thank you for making this space. It's been just kind of phenomenal today. I think we're all feeling the weight of war and winter and so many other things going on in the world today. But I'm going to read two really short poems about birds. So this first poem is called Cowbirds. The cowbird hen dumps a fat speckled egg in the neighbor's nest while no one's home. She perches, barely winded, preens a bit, then flies off to find the cock and make another egg. A purple finch sails home, beak heavy with cricket. Before her own eggs can cool, she tucks, trims, weaves the fray edges of the nest, shivers tiny muscles to spread downy feathers over the eggs. When the chicks hatch, one is clumsy, dull brown, mouth wider, more demanding than the 3 pale chicks over which he lumbers. He'll grow quickly, shove the smaller chicks over the edge. The cowbird hen dumps another fat speckled egg in a phoebe's nest, catches her breath, preens, fluffs, flies back to the cock. Cowbird hens are not exceptional. Such mothers are everywhere. Thank you. And this next poem is called Jackdaws in the Garden. By the time 2 jackdaws perched on her garden wall to preen and clack beaks each to each, the remnant of her heart had shrunk. She thought at first to turn away, so tender was the jackdaw's affection. She blushed and felt deep beneath her ribs that fossilized mineral, that petrified nugget, warm from its sleep. The jackdaw cock flew down, plucked from the garden a coppery snail, flew back to drop his gift at the hen's feet. Where once the woman's heart settled lifeless in her body's abyss, now it jolted to life. The jackdaws lifted above the trees to join their chittering flock, while she held a hand over her heart's persistent thump, thump, thumping. Thank you.
My heart is thump, thump, thumping for those birds. Thank you. That's Marcella Remund. And that's our featured list, folks. I'm going to cut us right over to the waiting list. We have many people, and I want to get as many of you in as possible. So first we hear from Phil Lynch, followed by Patricia Carragon. Welcome, Phil. Good to see you.
Thanks, Sandy. It's been a while. My Sunday nights changed, but thanks to a storm blowing outside, I'm at home and here. But then I was blown off track by the re-registration at the start. But anyway, you mentioned that we're heading towards February, but I'm going to mention Christmas, because it's less than a month since. But this is a little rhyme I wrote before Christmas, so I just thought I'd share it, because as we know, poems are not just for Christmas. And the issues here are certainly not just for Christmas. And in fact, it's called Not a Christmas Poem. This is not a Christmas poem. There are no wise men anymore. Jesus was born without a home, too late to close the stable door. This is not a Christmas poem. In the east, no star to follow, no guiding light to lead us home. X marks the spot, deep and hollow. This is not a Christmas poem. Good gifts to share are rare this year. No chimneys left in any home. To fuel Santa's sleighs too dear. This is not a Christmas poem. There is no peace upon the earth, and refugees have fled their home as bombs destroy their place of birth. This is not a Christmas poem. No joyous words to make it so. Too many people have no home. Our song for them, don't let it snow. This is not a Christmas poem, but come it will like day and night. And if you'll celebrate at home, give thanks and hold your loved ones tight. Sorry for bringing the mood a little down. Anyway, thank you very much. Very enjoyable night. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's Phil Lynch. That's a great poem. Really great poem. Thank you. Good to see you. And I look forward to seeing you soon again. Well, we'll hear from Patricia Carragon, followed by Don Krieger. Thanks, Patricia.
Okay. This is a sort of acrostic poem, but it's not an acrostic poem. I just used my imagination. So here it goes. Title is A Lady Holds a Kitten by the Table. I listen to a conversation between you and your partner. Philosophical clashes that last 10 minutes. Words that disappear into air and meander outside this room. I'm used to being stared at, and my kitten doesn't care. It doesn't matter if we're uncomfortable or not. The curator's mission is to entertain and educate. She holds a PhD in art history, but she lacks the understanding behind those brushstrokes back in his Parisian flat. His secret language, expressions for loss, not for the latest trend, not for that nouveau riche patron. Hours of infinite eyes pass by, endless dissections, the reason for color, the meaning behind my eyes, and why is my kitten looking away? Our two-dimensional world serves the public, but at night, when the lights go out and the room is empty, I become like you. Leave this gilded frame, visit his self-portrait across the way. We sit on the museum's bench. He shares his glass of wine. I, my cheese, bread, and fruit. My kitten joins us, leaves another mark on the wooden bench. Proof that we are more than what the eyes see. Thank you.
An imaginary ekphrastic poem. I love that. That's brilliant. That's genius. I love that poem. And make sure, folks, that you did see in the chat Patricia's Brownstone Poetry, fabulous, fabulous reading coming up. I wish I could go. It's on the 27th. Unfortunately, I'm not available, but I really want to encourage you folks to head on to that reading. That's going to be a fantastic reading. Thank you so much, Patricia. Appreciate it. We head now to Don Krieger. Don will be followed by Bryan Franco.
Ground Zero. In November 2023, Al-Shifa Hospital came under repeated Israeli attacks as a suspected Hamas command center and hostage transshipment hub. In the ensuing weeks, the 50,000 refugees sheltered there and many patients, including 31 premature babies, were evacuated to save their lives. On that sunny morning in August 1945, Shima Hospital held only unwhites with strange faces and customs, no hostages or anyone else of value. Why not incinerate the 80,000 in and around it and doom 200,000 more to something slower and crueler? 200 yards to the west, the city's commercial exhibition hall braved the hellfire and still stands. Today, Hiroshima is reborn with 10 times the population it had when America killed it. Shima Hospital was rebuilt where it stood, but the scorched walls of the exhibition hall remain naked, a testament to the resilience of European handiwork, to the defiance of life in the face of wholesale murder, all embodied in the dogged tolerance of stone for insufferable heat. Leaf-clad stone ramparts, phoenix trees at River's Fork, deciduous souls. That's ground zero.
Thank you. Thank you, Don Krieger. Always a powerful poem. Always a powerful poem. Well, Bryan Franco is next. And then we will hear from I believe Ken Burch, Amadeus. Sorry. Hi, Bryan.
Hi, Sandy. Thank you very much. Most important strings are born from hearts. As a young ukulele, I believed I could grow up to be a 12-string classical guitar. I longed to be played overlooking the river Nervion in the courtyard at the Guggenheim in Bilbao, Spain. As a teenager, I decided I could be a six-stringer owned by a folk singer who dabbles in the blues. I had heard how good it feels when a blues singer slides a metal tube over his finger and makes your strings orgasm. But alas, I never experienced a growth spurt. My owner, who only played me for his family in Hawaii, gave me to his surfer son, who took me with him as he surfed his way around the globe. The tattooed boy tattooed me with stickers from everywhere he surfed, as if the stickers were stamps on my passport. Then one day he got hurt and could no longer surf. He spent the rest of his life in a wheelchair. He traveled the world with me in his hands as he sang songs that were born of the waves he had ridden. He never bought another uke or guitar with more strings. He said to do so would be to abandon his father's soul that existed in my frets. Though he fell in love more than once, he never married. He believed his mission in life was to spread the love and humanity and he inherited from his father. When I was a boy, I was a gift to a teenage boy who listened to folk and blues and Spanish classical guitar music. Though he would play me and sing to girls he thought he loved, then to his wife and child, I always thought he longed for more strings, but he never replaced me. And when he taught his boy how to play me, he said I was his prized possession and told his boy to never take me for granted. While I traveled the world with him, he often talked to me as if I were his father. He cried over many broken hearts while strumming me. He never took me for granted, just like his dad never did. And now I live in a glass case in the Smithsonian, having lived a truly wonderful life. Happy to have known I never needed more strings to make beautiful music. Thank you.
That's Bryan Franco, everyone. And I haven't been watching the chat like very closely today, but so I know you have your reading series also. Please feel free to make any announcements in the chat about that. Thank you so much. Great poem. We move now to Amadeus, followed by Ken Burch. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sandy. Title of the piece is called Why Am I a Poet? Not everyone was born with such talent. You see, most people do not even care about it. Some people look at us insane, while others find us pretentious. But every time I do a poem, it goes back to these questions. Why am I a poet? Why should I continue to hone my craft? What is the end goal of this? What will I gain? How will my work make a difference? How will my work make a positive impact to society? Overall, who the hell am I to be listened to? These are the questions that have been driving me for years. And it is so sad most poets nowadays would rather be an entertainment monkey. Some poets act as if they know it all already, like creating a poem is just about love and destiny. What a poor shallow thinkers am I living these days. Oftentimes I feel God cursed me with this gift, and he placed me in a world that doesn't fully understand that gift. Some say they understood, but it's bullshit in the presence of God. Because the moment I ask them how it feels, they can't even respond. These people have no idea the pain of a poet by turning misery into art form, because everything to them is just a joke until the truth hits them like a storm. However, one day I saw hope, a ray of light. The universe heard me and my questions were right. The universe knew I was looking for deeper meaning, that later on the next generation would find these works inspiring. I could care less for money, and it was never for fame in the first place. I have a responsibility as an artist, and my voice and writings can be multiple. With that said, may my works inspire the next T.S. Eliot, Shakespeare, or Voltaire. As I end, don't clap for me because of the art performance. Clap for me because you respect and believe what I stand for. And if you people are genuine for me, then one day I die, may you people promulgate why am I a poet in the first place. Thank you.
That's Amadeus with some very profound questions and ponderings about why we write poetry. Wow, I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Folks, we're gonna get to our last three poets. I'm gonna go for the whole list. Stay with us. We go next to Ken Burch, followed by Isaac Cohen.
Hi, Sandy. Hi, hello, everyone. I've not commented, by the way, as much on people's poets this week because for the last few weeks I've been using my phone. I'm going to get a new laptop soon, and it's harder to write with that and still get back to this. But this is quick. I wrote this largely on the thought that we are literally a year away from the inauguration of whoever gets the title known as president. And it made me think, and I guess I was trying to emulate some of the poems Brecht wrote in exile in the 30s when he was on a little island in Denmark, and that sense of who knows what's going next. And it's sort of meant to be a statement which I hope all engaged poets would in some way will connect with. At this time next year, things may yet be as they are, terrifying, unresolved, and we will write the uncertain. At this time next year, the worst may have occurred, and we will write, if alive, some in hiding. At this time next year, the monsters may have been slain, and we will write of other monsters. Thank you.
It's so interesting, Ken, because I was looking back on some poems that I was writing in 2020 about the, about the impending, about the, the new elections and all of that. And yeah, it's very, very interesting, the cycles. We will, as you say, we will continue to write the uncertain. I am certain of that. Thank you. That's Ken Burch. We go now to Isaac Cohen.
Dear Sandy, dear Kim, dear Don. Isaac Cohen. Behold wind. Behold wind, the lost souls fly beyond the sky. You touch the minutes and send them to a separate reality to be resurrected. Years later, you can speak with them and sense that nothing has happened. Thank you, Isaac Cohen, Israel, and I call to all my friends from all over the world to bring the kidnapped soon. And there was a child, a baby, 1 month, 1 year, Kfir Bibes, and bring him to his family soon. Thank you. Thank you, Sandy. Thank you, all my friends.
That is Isaac Cohen. Thank you always for your words. Peace to
Yeah,
all,
thank
man.
you.
Peace to all. Peace and safe travels. Safe travels.
Yes.
Well, we will end today. We are just at the 90 minutes. Let's get Catherine Ronan in, and then I'll have my final remarks. Take it away.
Every winter melts. Snake shifters must accept old, dead skin on the ground. Brumation slithers into new year. Same fault lines as before. Nothing changes old notes of badly played piano in winter. When it rains, we wash, read Greek mythology, pretend we are better than Icarus with a dream, fold back into the black envelope, lick it, send it off to March. Every winter melts.
You know, that is a perfect ending to our reading today, to remind ourselves that the weight of things will bring levity. Every winter will melt. Where there is sorrow, there will be joy. We live the range of existence, and we experience the range of existence here on Cultivating Voices, live poetry. Here today, it was our wild card open mic, and we heard the entire range of weight to levity. Well, at the top of the hour, my friends, we heard from Alexandra Psaropoulou, Mona Zamfirescu, Harvey Soss, David Brydges, Michael Mackin O'Mara, Ann Tweedy, Stephen Riel, Thomas A. Thomas, Martina McGowan, Glenda Cimino, Phynne-Belle, Marcella Remund, Phil Lynch, Patricia Carragon, Don Krieger, Bryan Franco, Amadeus, Ken Burch, Isaac Cohen, and Catherine Ronan. For an afternoon and evening of profound humanity, I thank you all, and would you all please unmute for a moment and show your appreciation for the poets and their voices.
Thank you.
Thank
you. Great show.
Thank you, Sandy. Thank you, Kim. When
Stay
you're
safe,
done.
everybody. Stay warm. Freezing here.
Yes.
And I
Bye.
tuned in.
Good night, everybody.
Well,
Bye. Peace
everyone,
and love. Peace and
peace and
love.
love indeed. Peace and
Yeah.
love. You've been listening
Yeah.
today to Cultivating Voices, live poetry. Those are the echoing voices trailing off of our poets who read today. Thank you, one and all. I want to remind everyone that we have just closed out our January and we are moving right into February. Our first reading will be together for a special event. It's an anthology reading from the anthology Black Joy Unbound with editor Stephanie Allen and the poets of that anthology, Black Joy Unbound. That'll be on Sunday, February 4th.
And it's February 4th, and I just listed all the featured poets who will be
Thank you.
reading,
There, I see it.
including our beloved members,
There, yep, I see
Yeva
it.
Johnson
Yeva
and
Johnson.
Regina
Regina.
Garcia. So good times.
Excellent, excellent. We can't wait. We're so grateful. Thank you to Kim Ports Parsons for doing the behind the scenes work to make this fabulous reading that we'll be bringing you in February possible. We're going to take a break the second week of February because here in the States is AWP, but 1 week come back, February 18th. it's our new book showcase with our Laureate Love Fest twist. So far, we've got for our new book showcase, Laureate features one of our favorites here from the original Laureate Love Fest, Grace Cavalieri. And Grace Cavalieri will be joined by current poet laureate of New Mexico, Lauren Camp, and the poet in residence of Poetry Ireland, which is essentially the equivalent of the U.S. Poet Laureate, Anne Tannen. So, and maybe a few more thrown in for good measure. Who doesn't want to hear more laureates? That'll be February 18th. And then, of course, we end the month with our wild card open mic. Well, everyone, I thank you so much for being here today. It was a incredibly, incredibly prismatic, power-filled, profound reading. And you know, it's definitely gonna give me plenty to carry with me through these next few weeks until we meet again in February. Well, this is Sandy Yannone for Cultivating Voices Live Poetry. As I always say to you at the end of the program, please take very good care of yourselves. Take exceptional good care of your beloveds. And a reminder, of course, that, you know, our ability to share poetry can help us bring a more peaceful planet into being. It certainly will not hurt. So keep writing your miraculous poems. I will see you in a few weeks. Be very well.